One of the other things that we want to be able to do is, given an equation, we want to be able to describe some of the transformations, so how it actually moves, or how the parabola rather is going to be moving and what it would look like relative to the parent form of any quadratic relationship. So we know that in the parent form of a parabola graph, it's y is equal to x squared. And so if you were to actually graph y is equal to x squared, you would end up with a parabola that has its vertex at the origin, opens up, and goes through the standard 149 vertical exchange and growth. But what we want to do is we want to figure out, based on the fact that we have this particular equation, we want to identify what are our AHK values, and then determine what that would do in terms of shifting the parabola to the left, to the right, moving it up or down, squeezing it so that it's stretched vertically so it's made tall and skinny, or compressing it so that it's made short and wide. Okay? So first off, what we need to do is we have to identify what are our AHK values. So in this case, our A value, given this parabola here, our A value is going to be -2. Our H value is actually going to be -3, okay, because it's always the opposite of what it shows up in the equation. And our K value is going to be -1. So the direction of opening, in this case, this is determined by the A value, and here our A value is a -2. Okay, so we know that A is equal to -2, and because it's a negative number, we know that it's actually going to open down. Not only is A a negative number, but because the A value is greater than 2, so if we ignore the fact that it's a negative number, we know that 2 is greater than 1, and so anytime where the A value is bigger than 1, then that's going to mean that it's actually stretched. Okay, so stretched indicates that it's where the A value is bigger than 1. That's very difficult to write. The A value is bigger than 1, and we'll just remove that. Okay. If it was compressed, the A value would be less than 1, between 0 and 1. And if the A value was exactly +1, then there would be no change. Okay? But because in this case the A value, and again, we just want to look at the fact that we just want to look at that 2 piece, and that's going to indicate that it's stretched. Okay? The next thing that we'll take a look at is the horizontal shift. Horizontal, again, means side to side, to the left or to the right. So in this instance, our H value, okay, the horizontal shift is always determined by the H value, and our H value here is -3, so that's going to mean that it's shifted to the left, okay? And it means that it's shifted to the left by 3 units. Okay, so it's moved 3 units to the left. If the H value were a positive value, then it would be shifted to the right. And if the H value was equal to 0, then there would be no horizontal shift at all. Finally, next we're going to look at the vertical shift. And the vertical shift is always determined by the K value. And our K value in this case is -1. So because our K value is -1, because it's a negative number, that indicates that it's being shifted down. Okay? If the K value were positive, the vertical shift would be moving up. If the K value was equal to 0, there would be no vertical shift at all. It would be none. So in this case, the value of our vertical shift is 1 unit. Okay, so it's moving down 1 unit. We can practice this a second time. We'll do a second example of this. So we're going to do the exact same thing with this particular equation that's given to us in the upper left-hand corner. So again, we want to identify our AHK values, and I'll do this one in green just to determine so we know that these two things are different. So our A value in this case is 0.75, okay, which is obviously a number less than 1 but greater than 0. Our H value is going to be positive 9. Okay, again, the sign is the opposite of what it shows up in the equation. And our K value will be positive 5. So again, because our A value is a positive number, it's positive 0.75. Because it's positive, that means it's going to open up. Because the A value is between 0 and 1, so it's bigger than 0 but less than 1, that actually means that the parabola is going to be compressed. That means it's squeezed down and it's made wide uh, relative to the parent form of the parabola. The horizontal shift, we know that our H value is equal to positive 9. So because it's equal to positive 9, the positive part of that indicates that it's shifted to the right, and it's moving 9 units to the right. Finally, our vertical shift is determined by the K value. We know that the K value is positive 5. So because the K value is a positive number, that means that it's being shifted up. And the value of our vertical shift is 5 units. Okay, and so you'll be asked to complete a chart like this on your exam, just like you were on your unit test, as well as one of your assignments. So what I'm going to ask you to do at this point is work on your practice questions that are given to you in the textbook, and those are indicated for you right here. Okay, and so I'm going to ask you to work on those particular questions in the textbook, and I'll also post those for you on the board.